Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today. I'm Jan Clothier of Thinking Stamping and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator from New Zealand. And today I'm going to share with you how I made this card, which I made for the latest colour challenge at Colour Inspiration, where I'm a crew member. And our challenge this time is to, whoops, there goes the fire siren. Our challenge this time is to use these 5 colours: Poppy Parade, Crushed Curry, whoops, Coastal Cabana, a favourite of mine, Starry Sky, and Gorgeous Grape. So this card had its genesis in a recent class that I had where one of the ladies who came was talking about how her house was being painted and the little thank yous that she was doing for the people who were doing it. And so I went away and I thought about how I had just purchased this Trusty Tools stamp set, and it bundles with this lovely set of die cut tools. And that's kind of how this card started. So I will go ahead and show you how I made it, because there's one or two little interesting things going on here, including this partially embossed card front. So we'll start off with what we need in terms of materials. So obviously the Trusty Tools stamp set and dies if you have them, otherwise you just have to get friendly with fussy cutting, but definitely the Trusty Tools stamp set. I've made my card base out of basic black, and it's a standard sized card base for me, so it's 21 centimetres, scored at 10.5, and I've cut at 14.8. And if you're an imperial person, just use whatever your standard card size base is. Okay, so we'll just fold that. Now I have got a mat of Coastal Cabana, and that is 0.5 centimetre or 1/4 of an inch smaller than the card front. So it's 10 centimetres by 14.3. And I've got 2 of those because I'm going to use one for the inside, which will just pop over there for now. Now I've got 2 pieces of basic white, and actually they are not exactly the same size, and I'll tell you why. This one, the slightly smaller one, is 0.5 centimetre smaller than the mat. So it's 9.5 by 13.8, or if you're doing it in imperials, it's 1/4 of an inch smaller than the mat size, and that is for the inside. Now the second piece is for the card front, and because I wanted maximum room for my paintbrushes, I've cut this ever such a little bit bigger than a normal second layer. So instead of cutting it 0.5 centimetre smaller, I've cut it 3 millimetres smaller, or 1/8 of an inch smaller. So this one is actually 14 centimetres by 9.7. Okay, and that's only just to accommodate the width, because I wanted maximum width for my paintbrushes and a very narrow little mat. And as you can see, I've already added in the sentiment down here in the bottom corner, and I could have used any of the sentiments. Happy Father's Day, you're the most awesome, whatever you like. Pick whatever sentiment. Because I'm thinking of my friend and her house painters, I did a thank you. Okay, so that's that. And the other thing you need is some paper that you can stamp yourself 5 paintbrushes on, and that uses that lovely little paintbrush there. So that's what you need in terms of stuff. Now, the next thing we're going to do is look at the card base. As I said, I've already stamped that there. And if you have a look here, you can see though that there is texture over the top, sort of 3/4 of that card front. And what I've done is I have, as soon as I lay my hands on it, oh yes, here it is, I've used the painted texture 3D embossing folder kind of to keep the painting theme going. And all you have to do is line it up into your folder, only over the bit that you want to have embossed. Whoops. So you just line it up, and to help you get lined up, there's a line, there's a line there, and there's a line at the edge. And so when you're happy that you've got it straight, you just put it into your embossing machine just like that. And when you come back, you end up with that. Okay, so you've got a lovely painted texture at the top and your sentiment at the bottom. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to turn these paintbrushes into the little gorgeously created things that we've got there. Now, the stamp set is a 2-step stamp set. So one thing you can do if you want is you can use a stamp to fill in the paint handle. I did not do that because I wanted to double down on the colour. So I wanted that little strip to match the same colour as the paint. So I've chosen to colour the handles using Stampin' Blends, or if you could equally use coloured pencils if that's what you like. And the little paintbrush, the little where it's dipped into the paint, is actually another two-step stamp. So all you need to do is get yourself the little stamp, get yourself the ink pad of choice, ink it up, and then I'm going to try and do this without getting my head in it, which is going to make it a little bit trickier. Just see through, line it up, stamp 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, so the ink's got time to transfer, and there he goes. Now you can see that there is just a little bit of a gap there, and I'm not unhappy about that. I could just happily leave it, but if it bothers you, then just get yourself a Stampin' Right marker or a Stampin' Blend of the right colour, and then you can just go along and fill in any little bits that you're unhappy with. Okay, and then I'm going to just colour in that band. Now that's optional. If you didn't want to do that, of course you could just colour the whole thing in with a stamping blend, or as I said, you could use the two-step stamp to just stamp in whatever colour you wanted it to be. And then I have used crumb cake Stampin' Blends to do the rest. I'll just do one just to show you how I did it. So I just went in there and I just, oh hang on, always want to be careful protecting your surface when you're using blends, because you don't want it to go through onto woodwork. So I'm just going to all over with the lightest blend. All over with the lightest blend. Then I'm going to get the darker blend, and I'm just going to shade in a little bit down that side and a little bit just over here, and then just to even it out, I'm just going to go back in over those little edges a bit with the lighter colour, just to get rid of any harsh transition line. And there he is, all ready to go. And then it's simply a matter of doing the same thing with all the other colours, whatever other colours you've chosen to use. Now, if you are someone who doesn't have the die set or is a great lover of fussy cutting, then of course you can cut them all out. But if you are not a lover of fussy cutting, then there is a beautiful little die that you can use to cut them out instead. And here they are, all beautifully cut out and ready to go. Now, when I did the die cutting, the other thing I do is, just as a little tip, is you can get the die and just pop the die onto the over the image. Or if you're a bit worried that it's not going to come out straight, then all you do is you get yourself a piece of paper, cut yourself out a die, and then you've got a little blank that you can see where the die will cut. You put that onto your die cutting plate, and then you drop the die in, and you'll feel it lock in place. And then you know that when you put it through the die cutting machine, that is exactly where it's going to cut. And like most things, that works most of the time. Every now and then you still get something wrong, but it greatly enhances your chances of getting your die cut exactly where you want it. Okay, so now that we've done that, it is simply a matter of assembly. So we'll just get our glue. Now, we have got a Coastal Cabana mat, and on the front it is a very narrow mat. So we'll use glue, so we've got wiggle room to get it nice and straight. So that we can get it all nice and even. Okay, and then when we're happy with it, I can give it a firm little press, and then that can attach to the card front. Like so. And then it is a matter of just attaching our paintbrushes. Now, if in the course of the making of this card you see anything that you would love to add to your craft stash and you live in New Zealand, then you're more than welcome to shop with me, and there's a link to my online store in the video description below, and it's also going to pop up in the end cards at the end of this video, but that's only if you live in New Zealand. Now, what I'm going to do is have to decide how I'm going to organise my paintbrushes. Now, I think there's a bit of a rainbow going on here, so we're going to go red, yellow, green, blue, violet. Good old Roy-G Biv. Now, we've got a bit of a choice to make about how we're going to arrange our paintbrushes. We could do them like that, or we could go for the up and down method. And I think I do think I like the up and down method. I just think it looks a little bit nicer. But of course, if you're making a card like this, then you're free to make it however you want. Now, if your die cutting's been a little bit wonky, like some of mine has turned out to be, it doesn't matter too much because we are putting a white die cut onto a white background, and that hides a multitude of sins. So, you know, if your die cutting isn't perfect, it is not the end of the world. Okay, so we'll just... Now, possibly the hardest part about this card is just making sure that you end up with everything straight and evenly spaced. So we'll do our best on that. You could pop these up on dimensionals if you wanted to. I suppose it just depends whether or not you intend to hand deliver or post the card. Okay, and then the blue. And finally, Coastal Cabana. Okay, now for embellishment, I'm going to add in some of these glossy dots assortment. Sadly, these are retiring shortly. I think you can probably still pick some up in the last chance sale. I love the rich colours of them, and there happens to be a lovely crushed curry, gorgeous grape, and a Coastal Cabana in there. So, where's my, take your picture, there it is. So what will we add in? Will we go all of one? Or will we go some of... Over here I've gone for a multi approach. I've got a Coastal Cabana, a gorgeous grape, and a crushed curry, but... what will we do? Let's go a bit rogue. Let's try going all one colour. So we'll have a large... Seeing as how Coastal Cabana is our matte colour, perhaps we'll just stick with Coastal Cabana for this one and see what we like the look of. Okay, there he is. I don't know. What do you think? All one colour or a bit of a variety? I think actually that one needs to just... Oh no, he's a bit stuck. I was a bit fast getting him on. I think he could have been a bit over, but he's stuck now, so that's where he's going to stay. Now, the very last thing I need to do is just show you what I did on the inside, because after all, we've got a piece of Coastal Cabana and a piece of white over here on the side waiting to do the inside. And what I did on here was I just gave myself another paintbrush, but you know, you can do whatever you like. I always say to my class people, you can experiment on the inside. Good chance to try out something new. Okay, so that is the partially embossed rainbow thank you paint card made with the Trusty Tools set in response to the latest Colour Inspiration Challenge. I hope you've enjoyed making that with me, and I hope you'll give something like it a go yourself. If you have questions, I'm always happy to answer them, and I can be reached through the contacts in the video description below and in the end card that it's about to pop up. If you've seen anything that I've used and you'd like to add it to your craft stash, you can shop with me if you live in New Zealand. Again, the links are in the description below and in the end card. If you've liked what you've seen and you haven't subscribed already, please do so you don't miss anything new that I do. But above all else, everyone, happy stamping.